co-host, Sherry from Storehouse Media Group. Sherry, how are you? I know you're excited about our guest.
I am fine. Thank you for asking. And I am excited about our guest, Louis Hortham. Yeah, Louis is just a little introduction if you've never heard of him. He is a highly accomplished actor and producer, and you've had 40 plus years in the entertainment industry. And he's so versatile. He can go from a law enforcement officer all the way to some troubled soul needing redemption. So he's been in so many shows. If you look him up, he's been in Murder She Wrote, HBO's Westworld, Longmire, True Blood, Jag, The Mentalist, CSI Miami, CSI New York, NCIS, Criminal Minds, and the list goes on and on and on. He's just done a lot. And currently, though, he plays, and you're about to film the third season of The Night Agent on Netflix.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Nice to be here. I'm actually just finished the second season. Should the third season be picked up, I would be participating in that, but they haven't been picked up yet. But by all, pretty much everyone thinks that it will get picked up because season one was such a huge hit that they expect the return audience to be pretty big. So, yeah, keeping fingers crossed. But second season should be out. I don't know when it will be out. Maybe the end of this year or the very beginning of 25 is my guess at this point.
Okay. So let's kind of, I guess, delve in and let's share you. I know you have questions. I will do the follow-up. Go ahead with your first question.
No, I was going to say, well, what is Night Agent about?
Well, Night Agent, the show is, it starts out in season one with there's a specific place in the White House where the FBI has a person stationed in front of a phone that never rings. So it's kind of a crap assignment that you sit in this room every night for a phone that never rings because it will only ring for certain, emergencies and so forth. And of course, when this guy gets Peter Sutherland is his name, the character's name, he's sitting there, I think it's his first night, and the phone rings. So it's like, anyway, that's what a night agent is. Well, that's anyway, it evolves from there. It's a FBI, it's a espionage, a thriller kind of show. The first season involved the attempts to kill the president and all this kind of stuff. And people ask me all the time, is it going to be, do you need to see the first season to enjoy the second season? And you really don't. It's not that it's an anthology. There is a continuation, but the storyline is definitely different. There are some crossover of characters and so forth, but storyline's different. So, it's a intrigue, deep state undercover kind of thing. It's definitely a thriller. And I think season two is frankly up a notch from season one.
Are you in both seasons?
I'm not in season one. My character begins in season two. And as I say, if there's a season three, there's a pretty good likelihood that my guy will be back.
Okay.
Say it that way.
You can't say more than that. I understand. And sometimes you're like, okay, I know you can't say it, but okay. So let's I want to go back into, your whole career. What do you think you're best known for?
What am I best known for? Believe it or not, I'm probably best known for Murder, She Wrote, if you can believe it, just because it's been around for so long. I was in North Carolina recently. I walked into a Walgreens. I had a full beard, much longer, gray, as you can see. My hair was longer. I had sunglasses on. I'm paying for my goods, and the woman behind the counter and another employee that's standing there, and she went, "Did you used to be on TV?" And I went, well, yeah, but I'm still on TV. And she goes, "Murder, She Wrote?" And I'm like, "You recognize me from Murder, She Wrote 30 years ago with long hair and a beard, white beard?" And I was 30 something years old then. And then the woman behind the counter goes, "Oh yeah, you're the deputy that got accused of killing your high school buddy." And I'm like, wow. But so I guess because I still get a lot of fan mail from Murder, She Wrote, and but probably more recently, certainly Westworld was a great role that I had in that show. So memorable, some memorable scenes. I was awarded some really beautiful scenes in that show.
Great.
Yep.
So that was how you probably got your big break, was in Murder, She Wrote. And then you go on, you're from Baton Rouge, Louisiana,
I am.
and you're a producer. You've produced 5 indie films, and it's called Ransack Films. Tell us about that. Like, how do you like producing and production?
Oh, I like it quite a lot. It's hard. It's hard to make an independent film. It's a war, and every day is a battle or two. And you have to raise the money yourself. That is a pretty hateful job. It's tough. And so I've raised money for all of those films. And then, of course, you know, my experience by the time I did my first film in 96, I had 14 years of experience in the business. So I knew a bit of my way around, but not completely in the independent feature world. So I had a lot of help, made a lot of mistakes, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I learned about how to produce, and I'm not saying I won't ever again. I might, but it's it's a great experience. I love the creative aspect of it, to be able to see something like come together from a thought to a story, to a script, to a production, to a finished product. It's really pretty remarkable. Yeah. So I'm glad I did it. And, people ask me all the time, what makes a good producer, especially for an independent film? And I said, if you put all the right people in the right positions, it makes it a lot easier. And so that's what I would say to people, that, hire the right people, try to hire people with the most experience that you can, and get them for as affordable a price as you can.
And that's key.
That's key.
It's key in any business, man.
Exactly. It's really,
but you want to give them what they're worth, but you don't want to overpay them. And you have to understand, you want to have people that are hardworking. They're going to put the best effort in.
Yeah. And want to be budget. There. And
right.
Want to be there, because that's important, because
100%.
A lot of times the hours are very long and unforgiving. The food's not that great. And, there's all kind of downsides to a tiny production with a low budget,
and then it's raising funds. So are you the one that's the main guy on the film? Sometimes as the filmmaker, that you have to go raise the funds to have the movie made?
I have been on some, certainly on my first film that I shot in my hometown, but other films I've been, because once you raise money and successfully make a film, other independent producers will call on you and say, "Hey, can you come and do that for us?" And I've been hired to produce, and where I wasn't the one that instigated the project, or initiated, I should say. But I've been able to raise a little bit of money for some of these projects too. But I've also been hired to produce just because they needed somebody that had done it and knew how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking about, like, you had to do it all, I think when you're running a business, I think learning how to do every aspect of that business is important, because it allows you to see what's involved in everybody's role and everybody's job, as far as time, as far as money is concerned. And like you said, they've got to want to, because I can teach skills all day long, but I can't teach passion. That's like something inside,
right. Absolutely right. Of all the films I did, the first, the most expensive was probably 1.6 million, and the least expensive was 145,000. And that is one of my favorite films, because it's called Red Ridge, and it never really got the kind of play that it deserved. It was very rough, the dark, edgy and oddly enough, it was about human trafficking, and we did it in 2003. And I'm sorry, 2004. And it would be very topical now, but it was a dark, edgy film, but everybody wanted to be there. It's one of the highlights of my career, doing that film, because of the atmosphere that everybody was excited about it, excited to come to work. Nobody got paid. I mean, we got it in the can for $55,000, and then the rest was post. So
Wow.
passion.
That was the passion. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the passion for the topic and issue. It's impressive.
Now, thinking about working actor, Lewis, explain that to a lot of people, because they all think, hey, the major star of every deal, right? That sometimes that's kind of define that more for me, that it's harder to be a working actor, always working, versus being on one show for X amount of years and then be done in certain ways.
Yeah, I think everybody that enters the business, and I wanted to be a stuntman before I became an actor. That was my main goal when I saw the movie Bullitt in 1968 with my dad. I wanted to drive stunt cars. But once I became an actor, I think everybody goes into it thinking, oh, I'm going to be rich and famous one day. I can't say that I necessarily thought I would be rich and famous. And even if you are, and you're not willing to admit it, or your ego won't let you admit it, you very quickly realize, I just want to work. That becomes the goal, to be a working actor. And to be what is considered a working actor today is someone who makes a healthy living acting. And you can be an actor who works, is kind of like what you described. And then there's the working actor who makes his living, makes enough money to get his pension and health benefits every year, and becomes a known entity, at least within the industry. Whether or not they're known outside of the industry to the public or not, at least you're known within the industry. And every actor should, aspire to be a working actor. Forget about being rich and famous. Look, if you hit the lottery and you get a big movie and you become famous, really famous, you're going to end up making some really good money. And, and if you do something like mess around and get an Oscar nomination, it's like printing money after that. I worked with Terrence Howard once, wonderful guy, but he did a interview recently where he talked about his a movie that he was on, that he was offered. I forget what the first movie was, $4 million or something, but he had been nominated for an Oscar for Hustle and Flow. Then the next movie was 8 million, and the one after that was 12 million. And that's things can definitely change your career. And when Westworld aired, the very next day, my career changed. I was doing very well as an actor. I was a working actor, very comfortable. And then when Westworld aired, and I had this amazing scene with Anthony Hopkins in the end of the pilot, and the pilot was very strong for my character. Things changed, and that's how it can happen. You can get that scene that just changes everything for you. It's like Mickey Rourke back in the day. Well, I forget the name of that film. He had one tiny little scene where he played an arsonist or something, and I can't remember, but it was a tiny little scene. Boom,
I want to follow up with that, and then we'll go right back to Sherry on this. The point you made about Westworld taking off your career, another flight, right? Because you were Murder, She Wrote at the beginning. So tell me, like, how that. So has that helped you get more, not counting COVID time, has it helped you get more parts and bigger roles?
Oh, yeah. That? Yes, it did. Every actor's dream is to get offers for roles, instead of having to always audition. And I do still audition, but I get offers too. And that sort of started happening after Westworld. It's like a ladder. It really is. you know, when I first started working in the late 80s, it was mainly doing TV commercials, national TV commercials, which pay well. So I was doing well in that. Then you start getting co-star roles, little tiny roles in episodic TV. And then you used to go to, well, then I got Murder, She Wrote. And then the next step is guest stars. And then you do a bunch of those, and like all the ones you've named, Sherry. And then you just keep climbing that ladder until somebody gives you an opportunity, like Jonah Nolan and Lisa Joy did for Westworld. And when you get the, you know, when you get the ball, you got to score, you know. And so it's kind of left up to you in those situations. And thank God I apparently passed the test.
Yeah. Well, you know, your face is recognizable. It just definitely was like, oh yeah, I know that guy. They see your face. Oh yeah, I know that guy. But I want to get back to, you were talking about Bullitt, and you know, a little fun fact about you like to collect art and antiques. And so what was the connection? Explain what your connection was between Bullitt and this 1968 Ford Mustang Fastback.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So 1968, October, I think it was, my dad took me to see Bullitt. And I was just blown away by that chase scene. It's the best chase scene, I think, in cinema history, and even today. And we walked out of the theater, and it's a moment in time that I vividly remember. I remember exactly where I was standing at the Hart Theater in downtown Baton Rouge. And I said, Dad, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And he said, you want to be in movies? I said, I want to drive cars like that in movies. And so all through the rest of my schooling, I, you know, kept that dream alive. I would tell anybody that asked, I made no bones about it, I'm going to move to Hollywood and be a stuntman. One of my best friends' brother was a very well-established stuntman, Jack Verbois, in Baton Rouge. So he was sort of an inspiration to me too, watching him. If you've seen What's Up, Doc, he's the guy that crashes through the plate glass window. And that was real glass, by the way. And no other stuntman wanted to do it, but Jack was coming up in the business. He goes, I'll do it. And that's how you get noticed doing stuff like that. So then I started doing some modeling in Baton Rouge. This is the 70s. I started doing some modeling because I worked for a men's clothing store, led to commercials, and led to an agent, Dee Cawthorn, in Baton Rouge. And then one day she put the play, The Rainmaker, in my hand, and said they're doing this at the little theater, go read for it. And I got the lead, and it changed my life. So I played Starbuck in The Rainmaker. And then I realized that, hey, you know, acting probably a little safer than stunts, but I still was interested in stunts, and I've still done stunts. You know, I've done stunts in many movies, and almost do all of my fight scenes because I've been a boxer for years. And so I got to get my Jones on the stunt side too. But I also have a 1968 Mustang Fastback, which is being rebuilt right now and it's an homage to the Bullitt car. But Bullitt was a big part of my life, really.
Wow. That's what
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, that's that fun fact. Go ahead, share another. I'm sure you do your research. That's her being the publisher, right? She knows how to come up with these fun fact questions.
Yeah, fun fact, fun fact. Well, I just thought that was a fun fact that, you know, that how Bullitt just impacted you so much, and in just like anything else, you just never know. And although you had your sights on being a stunt man, it just kind of turned into something else. So I just think that's interesting. I love the backstory too, fun facts and backstories. And so what's next for you, Lou? What you're so involved in so many things. What's next?
Well, we just finished shooting about a little over a month ago, beginning of June, finished shooting season 2. I don't know when it's going to air. Pardon me. And I don't know when season 3 will start. We have to get picked up again first, but I mean, we all pretty much feel that'll happen. So, I mean, I'm speaking of auditioning, I've been auditioning for a couple of things, waiting to hear, and don't really have anything else because I can't take on any any role that's going to require like a lot of time, like a series regular, because I'm under contract for this project. But I spent, almost 6 months of the first of the year working on this. So I don't mind taking a little bit of a break. I live in Southern California, and it's nice to be. I was in New York, and not that the weather was that bad, but I'm not really that accustomed to cold weather. And anyway, just kind of taking it easy. I am an art and antique collector, and my sister has a company in Baton Rouge called Art of Art Curated, and we bought a collection of a artist from the 50s, actually the 40s. She painted from the 40s to the 90s. Her name was Elizabeth McCord. So we just bought her entire remaining collection, and we'll start putting that into some galleries and stuff. And so that's kind of a fun hobby for me. So I'm going to be involved in that for the next few months, and we'll see what happens from there.
Wow.
And I'll get my Mustang back in the next month or two, and it's going to be badass.
All right. So best place people can connect with you. Are you on social media that people can follow you?
I am. I'm on, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, Lewis_Herthum, HERTHUM. And I'm on Facebook, Lewis Herthum. My account, I've had some imposters, but my account has a green card that says this is my only Facebook, and it's public. I'm not great at the social media stuff. I'm sure people go, well, this guy's boring. He hardly ever posts anything, but I'm trying to do better.
Hey, it's a process. And I think that, again, when you're on these bigger shows, they really do a great job to give you those ideas or that boost. The days of having to get you verified without the check, now they just say, go buy it, right? Which is crazy. I think that's terrible. I wish they never would have gone to the verified check mark versus if you earn the verified, not, oh, by the way, you spend that X amount every month. It really just,
I defeated the whole purpose.
It totally did. And you're like, come on now, especially for the people that worked hard. Like, okay, finally I'm getting noticed. Boom, I got my check mark, for a big show. And then everyone's getting a check mark now.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I do get involved with shows. When I'm doing a show, I do promote the show. And as you know, I think, I don't know if and Bailey, two wonderful guys, friends of mine, obviously mentioned, but it was social media that saved Longmire.
Yeah, I think A talked about that. Yeah.
Fans definitely were responsible for the show coming back after A&E canceled it. Yeah.
Well, they need to say some of these shows that they decided to cancel, they should have kept, because they already had everyone in place, before the strike. Now you're looking at, you had some really good shows. Oh, the ratings weren't to the point. Well, now everyone's scrambling to figure out content. That's for sure.
I was on a show that got picked up. It was on The Peripheral on Amazon. Season 1 was a big success. We got picked up in February of 23, and then they were pushing the start date because of the impending strike at that time, the impending writer strike. And then the writer strike came. They pushed us a little more, and then the actor strike came, pushed it way to the end of the year. And then actually it was only like a month or so, as I recall, before the strike ended, they canceled the show. So we had the green light for season 2, and it got canceled because of the strike. So that sucked. That was a great project, man. Great.
And that's too bad when you have shows that you get people to live through and binge and then say it's over.
Yeah, it pisses people off.
Oh, it totally does.
It does.
But again,
you hear it too. People are tired of it.
Yeah, exactly. I've remembered shows and I'm like, come on now. And they just did it. All right. We appreciate it, Lewis. Thanks again, man.
Thanks so
my
much,
pleasure.
Luke.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and Storehouse Media Group podcast, guys.